Hello, and welcome to yet another Bomb Squad VidCast. I am your host, Tim M. Sullivan, and with me I have.
Hi, I'm Joseph Rennick.
And today we are doing something sort of similar to the Excalibur video, where we're doing sort of a VidCast to promote a podcast coming out. So, the week that this is dropping, we are doing a podcast on the 1981 classic, The Evil Dead. And I thought it'd be fun if we sort of looked back at some of the short films that the creators made before The Evil Dead. And so we're starting with a 30-minute film from, depending on who you ask, 1978 or 1979, called Within the Woods, which this is basically a prototype film, sort of a proof of concept that was basically what led to the creation of the original Evil Dead.
Oh boy, is it ever.
Yeah. And it's a movie that it's only been given like one official release, which was like there was a one night screening in a Detroit theater right before a screening of Rocky Horror Picture Show. They played Within the Woods, which supposedly it got a good reception at that screening. They never officially released it, but there's a version of it that's been floating around the internet, which is like a 10th generation VHS rip. Uh, it's it's barely watchable. um, yeah. But it's a fun one to watch if you've seen the original Evil Dead. It has sort of a fan name as Evil Dead Zero, because it's basically just like it's the precursor to the original. So Joe, why don't you start us off with kind of your thoughts on it?
So I guess something that should be noted about me is that other than maybe James Gunn, Sam Raimi is arguably one of the most influential directors for me. If you ever need proof of that, go watch my movie Double Bill, which is basically a humongous a humong-ish.
It's
It's a
humongous.
giant. It's a big nod to Evil Dead and just Sam Raimi's work in general. Um,
Hmm.
like the plot is basically Evil Dead. There's really no hiding it.
I also recall when I was in the advanced editing color class, and Mason Vitro was showing us Purple Stuff, which is your other film. He showed it. So like basically, Trevor had a thing where he wanted you to either show basically like a rough cut or a clip online that's similar to what you're trying to do. So Mason pulls up the Sunny D commercial. And he's like, "Yeah, that's fun. All right, now I'm going to show you the trailer for Evil Dead."
That's honestly not entirely far off for Purple Stuff, which go watch that too. But yeah, the Sam Raimi is a huge influence on me, and this was kind of a bit of a unknown little area for me. It's like I had always heard about Within the Woods. I had just never seen it up until now. I literally watched it not too long before we started recording for the very first time. So my thoughts on it are a little they're still kind of developing, but overall just kind of my general thoughts of it is it's basically Evil Dead, but 30 minutes.
Yeah.
They get pretty straight to the point with Within the Woods. It gets in, gets out. It is also probably the most film school horror film I've ever seen in my life. Like, as someone who has made horror movies in film school, I can't even put it into words just how I kind of like related to it, and I'm just like, yep, that's just what they had. That's how much money they had. Like, clearly this is done on a low budget. Clearly these aren't experienced actors. It checks off a lot of lists as far as film school movies go. And they weren't even film school students. Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell and Rob Tappert weren't. I think it was a Jonathan Ross interview. He had said that they dropped out of school and just made movies because screw it.
Robert Tappert, Bruce Campbell, and myself all bought business suits and matching briefcases and dropped out of school.
Sam was over in his little neighborhood making Super 8 movie. Sam did a lot of magic, and so film seemed like a natural extension for him to do that. So he was doing these silly little movies, and I was doing silly little movies. And another guy, Scott Spiegel, who co-wrote Evil Dead 2, was making like Three Stooge ripoffs.
You know, living the dream.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, like you mentioned the budget. I just looked it up, and the budget was $1,600, which for back then, that's a lot more than now. Because like I've seen like overviews that have been like $2,000-$3,000.
I was gonna say, Double Bill roughly costs like $1,000.
The Other Side cost $600, and that was mostly Angie's costume.
Shit.
Yeah.
$1,600 would get you a lot more back in the 70s.
Yeah. And yeah, like you said, it's definitely sort of an amateurish film from them, which is charming in its own way. Because like you're seeing these people who went on to become like some of the biggest names in horror, who had this humble beginning with this little prototype film. And like a lot of it has a lot of the same beats as the original Evil Dead. Like the scene where Ellen Sandweiss's character is running out of the woods is very similar to that one scene from the Evil Dead, without having that one part from that one scene that got it banned in several countries.
Right. I was gonna say another notable mention is when she's at the door and she drops the keys and the hand grabs her.
Yeah.
Like that is directly in Evil Dead.
Right. And like even that last shot of Scott doing the sit-up is just like that classic moment from the original, which was like a fun way to kind of cap this one off. But yeah, I mean, I've seen this, I think, like 2 or 3 times before. It's not like an amazing film, but it's a fun little thing to watch if you like the Evil Dead movies. Some of the gore from what is actually visible, because it's hard to tell what's actually happening on screen a lot of the time.
I think that's probably kind of what affected my overall enjoyment, is just because we don't have a much more clearer version of this movie, because
right, yeah,
man oh man, is just the picture quality of it very tough to get through.
Yeah, like from what you can actually see, there's like some kind of cool gore stuff in there. Like I just noticed this for the first time last night, was that like Bruce Campbell's character has like an eyeball bulging out, which that was a neat touch. And yeah, it's a neat kind of look at what the creators did before they went on to make big films. Yeah, I guess unless you have anything else to say, we can move on.
I was gonna say, because you did mention the gore, that's probably one of the bigger positives that I can actually give this movie, because there's really not much that I can say as far as acting goes, because it's very student actor in that regard. The writing's also very film school writing. It was towards the beginning. Bruce Campbell has a line with what's her name. They're talking about how the house is built on an Indian burial ground, and she's like, "Is it cursed?" Yeah. You serious? Yeah. But listen, don't worry about it. He just immediately shrugs it off. But the other thing that kind of makes me laugh about that too is he says, "Yeah, just, we don't mess with the graves. They won't hurt us. You won't get cursed." Then immediately just messes with a grave later.
Right. Yeah.
Just completely forgets his own rules.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to my original point, I actually think the gore is very standout in this, and I think the bad picture quality certainly helps it, because it hides a lot of the effects of it.
Yeah,
Um,
that's probably true.
it it gets a little disturbing. The only thing that I did notice about it is when they cut off the hand, you can clearly see like Bruce Campbell's like arm is
Yeah,
like
yeah.
tucked in his shirt like that. And but yeah, you had also mentioned this like that's kind of what makes it charming, and I actually have to agree. It's like
Yeah.
there is a bit of a charm to watching this, knowing where they would all go, and it's also just kind of got a bit of a charm in the same sense as like watching Red Letter Media short films. That was honestly one of the things that I was getting reminded of the most, is just watching like Bruce Campbell get thrown into shit. I was like, oh, Red Letter Media would do this like a good couple decades later.
Yeah, funny, I forgot to mention even the like Indian burial ground thing, which like that's definitely more of like a been there, done that trope. So I think it was kind of interesting to see like that was sort of where it began when they would later turn it into a more original like Necronomicon possession thing, and they'd have a unique name for them, the Deadites and everything.
Right. I will say this: if they had gone with the Indian burial ground for that first movie, I don't think it would have worked as well.
Yeah, yeah. Like the only real notable movie that I think did it real well was Poltergeist.
Yeah. Plus, plus with how they like changed it for Evil Dead, it creates like this much more interesting lore behind like everything that's going on. So it makes you more curious, and it kind of makes things a little bit more scary. The fear of the unknown, if you will.
Yeah, and I would say that definitely helped carry it into becoming the series that it did. All right, I guess we can move on to the second short film, Attack of the Helping Hand. This was a 6-minute short film directed by Scott Spiegel, starring both Bruce Campbell in a voice role and Sam Raimi in a physical acting role. So basically, the plot of this movie is a woman goes to make dinner and she gets some hamburger helper, and the helping hand from the hamburger helper is summoned and he attacks her. It's right in the title, Attack of the Helping Hand. And then Sam Raimi comes in as the milkman and he gets killed. And then she sticks the helping hand in the blender and she's like, okay, I'm going to make something else for dinner. And then the Pillsbury Doughboy comes out, which apparently this is a reference to another short film called Attack of the Pillsbury Doughboy, which doesn't seem to be online anywhere, although I haven't looked very hard for it.
Bomb Squad viewers, if you can find a copy of this, send it our way.
Absolutely.
Like
Yeah. My first time watching Attack of the Helping Hand was actually at the Moolah Theater when they were screening Evil Dead 2 for a late night grindhouse. So they were doing their little pre-show thing with like all the trailers and everything, and then they played Attack of the Helping Hand, which I had never seen before, but it was an interesting one to watch leading right into Evil Dead 2, because this very directly influences a specific moment in Evil Dead 2.
Yeah, the arguably the most iconic moment of one of the most iconic scenes of that movie.
Yeah, just like sort of the cat and mouse with the hand.
The goddamn hand.
Yeah. Any thoughts?
So this one, I no joke watched right before this podcast. So these are the most fresh takes you'll get. So I was thinking about purple stuff a lot when watching this, because it's this iconic food icon coming to life in a horror setting, which is kind of the same thing about purple stuff, which is, if you could not tell from the very first line, it is based on Sunny D commercials from the 90s. Yeah, I was thinking of that. I was also thinking of Restaurant Dogs by Eli Roth, his short film. I think there's a interesting trilogy with those 3 short films that people should go and
Mhm.
watch as like a trilogy, but that's besides the point. The actual movie itself is a hoot and a holler. It's short, it's sweet, to the point, it's comedic. You just watch this glove attack and get attacked, and it's always a good time. Sam Raimi comes in, he's hamming it up. He's doing backflips over people, actually hurting himself. That's honestly one of the most charming things about Sam Raimi movies is that whenever it's him in front of the camera or it's Bruce Campbell, it's always those two doing the stunts, and
Yeah.
they're the ones always like hurting each other. So it's always fun to watch those two just hurt themselves while making movies. Yeah, it's just a goofy fun time. There's really not a whole lot that I can say about it, especially given how recent I watched it.
Mhm.
But yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, basically the same. Like it's not one you can really go super in depth with, but like it's just like a really fun little short. It's very goofy horror comedy, and it's a big influence on what they would go into with Evil Dead 2, and then later Army of Darkness. If you like those movies, and you want something a little lighter than those, just like a short little 6-minute goofy movie, go check this one out. It's a lot of fun. Um, so yeah, I mean, any departing thoughts?
Well, I'll say this. You say go check this one out. I'll give this a plus over it. It's probably the best quality short of the 2 that we've watched.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
it's much clearer. It's easier to understand like most of the dialogue. Um,
yeah,
but yeah,
this one evidently like got more of an official like release. Like I noticed at the end it said the 20th Century Fox release. So when the fuck is this going on Disney Plus? Come on, guys.
come on, Disney. You've got
We
like a
know
whole.
we know you have the tapes.
You have the tapes. You have all of these other awesome things that you just refuse to put on your platform. Just stop being cowards. Fucking put that shit on there, man.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But yeah, as far as departing thoughts go, I really don't have much else to say about it. If you're a big Sam Raimi fan, these are fun little time capsules to go back and rewatch and just kind of see like the seeds that would eventually grow a giant oak tree that would give us the Evil Dead franchise, the original Spider-Man trilogy, fucking Dark Man. Much later, Drag Me to Hell, which is one of his more underrated horror movies. There's definitely influences of Drag Me to Hell in this and in these 2 shorts. And yeah, no, they're fun. Even if you're not that familiar with Sam Raimi or his work, I'd still even recommend it because I had fun, especially with Attack of the Helping Hand. I'm not gonna lie though, I did kind of fast forward a little bit through Within the Woods. It
That's
can
fair.
get a bit tedious, but it has its moments. So yeah, check
Yeah.
it out.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I pretty much totally agree. Like, if you enjoy the works of Sam Raimi, or if you just enjoy like goofy B horror type stuff, and like you want to see like just sort of the origins of creators who would go on to do big things, this is just like a really fun little. Both of these are just like really fun little movies to watch. So yeah, if that sounds interesting to you, go check them out. Hope that I can be of some kind of influence. Yeah, I guess that pretty much does it for this vidcast. So thank you for tuning in. Go ahead and leave a comment below and let us know what you thought of either of these films. Are they charmingly funny, or are they just bad? Um, Let us know. And while you're here, go ahead and give us a like, give us a subscribe, and give us a bell icon. join us this Friday for the Evil Dead podcast, and we will see you next time. Farewell.
Peace, bitches.
I slid my ticket across the table and I said, "Sorry guys, I gotta see about a girl."